I think all of our actors were just so geared up and so excited. Kevin and Aaron absolutely had their idea of what they wanted. We had a rule, and it was that we weren't allowed to see it on camera before the proposal. I walked him to that set to show him the first time, and yeah, it was his Martin silence.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited for you to watch or listen to my chat with Sarah Mabberley, When Calls the Heart production designer. We're talking all things season 13, and there is so much to talk about that I actually broke this podcast up into 2 parts. So, whatever part you're listening to, just know there's another part out there, and you're going to want to hear it all. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Heart in Motion podcast. I'm so excited to be chatting with Sarah Mabberley today. Hi, Sarah. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm so well. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back. We went through season 13 of When Calls the Heart. For anybody that doesn't know, Sarah is the production designer for When Calls the Heart, and so many scenes and pieces and all of these things that we just know that you and your team have kind of just like sprinkled throughout the whole season. And so I was not wishing the season away, but I was eager to get to the end of the season to be able to talk with you about them. You always give us so many good insights. So thanks for coming back and chatting with me.
Of course, it's my pleasure. It's fun.
One of the favorite moments this season was the gift exchange between Allie and Oliver. So, one, did you love getting to bring the Emerson book back? But two, is it your team that goes and finds the wolf pin? Does that fall under props? Like, how does that all
Yeah,
work?
yeah. So because props is under the production design umbrella, um, it was definitely a team effort. They didn't really tell us much of what they wanted to see. I think there is always that like trust. Like
Yeah.
you hire your creatives because they get to bring in their own perspective and ideas. Um, and so yeah, I also didn't have much idea. I really want Harry, sorry, Melody. We call her Harry.
Yeah.
Melody is our props master, and she's just absolutely insane. She's brilliant. Um, I trust her just so much, and so I said, like just bring me some ideas. Like I don't need to micromanage this one. I trust you. It is a prop, and you are the master of props. So
Yeah.
please. And so there was a bunch of different ideas. She brought in a bunch of options. Some of which I think we could have were like we could make this, or this is something we found. And then there is a thing called a prop show and tell, which everything is on display, all the options. And myself, the director, writers, lots of people on Zoom. So whoever really wants to join in, we get to go scene by scene and say, okay, so we have this option or this option, and then they can decide, or this is what we've got, and they're like, okay, great, but can it be a little bit like this? And then we can alter it. That's our opportunity for all paper props and books, as well, maps, everything like that is also the opportunity to kind of get approved by everybody, or to continue the discussion of how we want it to look, even down to like food, like this is what this plate of food is going to look like in the scene, or this is what they're going to eat or what they're going to be making. So that's the prop show and tell is really a pivotal point. And then, directors change it all on the day. um, and so that's what kind of the process was with the wolf pen is,
Yeah.
we don't have too many constraints. It has to fit in a box, and it has to be a
Yeah.
pin.
Yeah.
It has to be as kind of as simple and beautiful as that. We don't have to overthink anything. But yeah, let's bring in some options, and then we kind of all looked, and whatever we felt was the one is what got picked. And I think I like when it can be that simple, not just for the workload, but there's a beauty to simplicity, and
Yeah.
and I yeah, you also have to think of what they had back then, and at least the style, and like what Oliver could have afforded, and things like that.
Mhm.
So that's all the beautiful like little backstory behind these things.
Got it.
Yeah.
So a little bit less, I won't say stressful is not the word, than going and finding a engagement ring for Nathan and Elizabeth.
Oh, I wish I had maybe a better story about the engagement ring or more of a struggle. But when things are meant to be,
Yeah.
it was meant to be. And
That's
it
awesome.
happened because it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Um, I know that Kevin and Aaron absolutely had their idea of what they wanted. And then Aaron and I, were just kind of texting and she's like, okay, see if you can find something like this. And she's like, and then she was sending me some options. And then she found that one on Etsy and she sent it to me, and like there's a price tag to a genuine vintage opal with 4 opals in it. Like, she's like, what do you think? I'm like, I love it. And she's like, yeah, but do you think they'll let us have it? I'm like, give me a minute. So we send it off essentially for like, hey, we found this. It's perfect. It costs this much money. But it's worth it. And right away, they're like, yep, of course. Like, this is the ring. And then technically rings fall under props. So it's not actually a costume piece, it's a prop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so once I was like, okay, Erin, here we go. And I sent it to Melody and she reached out to, it was an Etsy seller and then we were able to get it in and it fit like a glove. And like, it was just, I thought that it was going to be stressful. I thought we were going to have to get something fabricated, something made. I thought it was going to be a really big process. And it was so simple. And again, you just go like, oh yeah, it's because it was meant to be. Like, this was the ring. And so the universe said, no, we're going to get them this ring.
Yeah.
And we had to get a double made though, because rule of thumb, like, you got to have at least 2. So we did get a double made. That's the only thing when it is something that is a genuine vintage piece, you're not going to get 2 of them, which is always a struggle with props, like huge struggle with props, when it's a period piece like this. But again, you've got professionals who can make doubles of it, not a problem. But we had a rule, and it was that we weren't allowed to see it on camera before the proposal. So, when they're looking through the box of rings, and when he shows Mrs. Thornton, we weren't allowed to see it. It had to be a surprise. So that was just kind of, which is a director thing. Like, no, that's not.
Was it in the box when he's picking it out?
I don't think so.
Because everybody was kind of like looking and there was like 30 rings and everybody thinks that they found where it was at, but it's the way the camera is hitting it, it may or may not be it.
I'm pretty sure it's not it. I think we found something that was kind of similar that could have to it. But again, and it could have been for 2 reasons. Either we didn't have the ring yet.
Got it.
Or it was just because we didn't want the ring on camera. And I apologize for not remembering that moment.
That's okay.
But that's also another beautiful thing that it wasn't a set. It wasn't scripted. It wasn't in the plans. It was nothing. Is the moment that they're looking through for the rings. And I just said, like, let's make this look like it's a home.
Yeah.
And that was really all I said. And then Anna, our set decorator, she went to town on it. So I just said, this is what I want it to feel like. And then they decorated it. And the fact that, I mean, it's honestly visually one of my favorite things to look at, but it's also it really signifies the fact that here we have Nathan and Allie, and they're choosing the ring, and little did they know, like, it's a home that they're on. And that tableau kind of gave me goosebumps. And I love being able to do little things like that. Yeah. Again, not scripted. Literally, I mean, we told, oh my goodness, I can't remember who shot that block or what block he was
for the ring. So the ring 9 and 10, it would have been Martin Wood.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. But just telling Martin, like, because we knew the location, and so I said, we're doing this in here, and like he did the rest, Yeah. So, but that was like the level of planning and communications. Hey, Anna, I want it to look like a home. Hey, Martin, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then it just happens. And little things like that are my favorite.
Now, if I'm remembering right, so I feel like when we went, that was one of those where it's so good to go back because now that we see that moment and they're in that little corner over there, when you don't necessarily catch that corner when it's daytime and just
Yeah.
things are happening, but when you go
Yeah.
back and watch it, you're like, oh, it was there already. Like that setting was already there, and then that moment
Yeah.
happens. So it was
Yeah.
definitely one to go back and rewatch and
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love when that happens. I do love when like something is brought to life, but it's been there the whole time.
Yeah.
Mwah.
And it was so not a distraction that when you see it the first time, it's not weird that it's there,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you go back and you go, oh, that's where it's at right there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It really was just a place that the Yosts, it's a home decor,
yeah.
section in the Mercantile. That's all it
Yeah.
is, but
Yeah.
it meant a lot more. Yeah.
So you find out that you need to get a machine that's going to be a polygraph machine and it needs to look like it's going to work.
Yeah. 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 We weren't stoked on that one at first. Because there's maybe like 2 available in the world to get, but like they're not going to work.
Yeah.
And then that's the thing is you can't actually control it. So I think we realized quite early on that we were going to have to build it. We avoided the thought for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then naturally Sammy and Melody were like, of course we can do this. What are you talking about? So between Melody's ability to 3D print and Sammy's just ability to fabricate, it was like, oh yeah, here it is. And so like I drew it up, but honestly, like I feel like it was one of those ones where I'm like, here's this thing. Like, we already know. I was like trying to give them like plans and ideas and like, we got that. Like, we know what
Yeah.
we're doing. And I was like, I just kind of had to step back and let the professionals do their job. Because we knew what it needed to look like. They knew how it needed to be built. And then, Sammy just knew what motors and how he was going to be able to control it. And then Melody knew like the gack that needed to be on the person,
Uh-huh.
and it took a long time. And it was because it was such an important piece. There was a lot of process of making sure things were approved and
Yeah.
like, are we using the right paper? Like we could do this, but then we could do this, but what's going to look better on camera? And is Andrew going to be able to see it? Does it have to be black ink? Should it be white ink? So there was a lot of back and forth for some of the details, but those details really were just what's going to help us actually achieve the look on camera. But at the end of the day, it worked. It was so cool. It's in the props lockup. It'll work again. I was really proud of that, but terrified at the same time.
Yeah.
Because again, also when you're working with like anything that's technology, motor, it could work in rehearsal and then not work on camera. But no, I mean they did an amazing job, and it really is. It's Sammy off screen, just kind of like controlling with like a knob the effect. It's completely controlled by Sammy, just off camera.
And just knowing exactly when to hit those beats in the script so that it totally makes sense.
Oh yeah, Sammy and like acting I had to be one and the same. Yeah, it was great.
Wow. Yeah. And it's locked away. I mean, it makes sense. Like there's so many reasons why that polygraph machine could have to come back in future episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's there, it's ready to go. I stubbed my toe on it the other day. It hurt. It's there.
You're like, I promise you it's there.
Yeah, my toe, promises it's there.
You mentioned earlier, like a lot of times it just makes sense that the Hope Valley community, like when they need to come together to do something, they're just going to, bring things that they've already got. And I think like in watching back the Jam episode, to me, that felt like an example of where it's like everybody coming together. And so all of these things that we're going to see, so much of it is going to come out of their homes and all of that. So is that kind of the process that you kind of thought through in designing that scene?
Yeah. This was fun because, again, it is the community. And anytime you bring the community together, it's an opportunity to be super creative and add that layer of character to it, because you see a person with a crate of things and you're like, oh, this came from their home. What do they have? Like, I love that character building, and so we truly did that in like Anna Hay, go through the mercantile, go through the row houses, go through the stuff in like Nathan's row house that's in storage, and grab all of the jars that you have, all of the utensils. Like we truly went into people's homes and grabbed these things,
Yeah.
which was fun, because it instead of going and buying a bunch of new stuff, which looks brand new, it's like I love having something that's looks like it's secondhand. And so we did that, and then we ordered so much fruit, which was hard because there were so many bees. They love
Oh no.
so many. I mean, we were all fed berries for the longest time, and that was great. But oh yeah, there she is. And then Sammy actually was the one to come up with the big squishy tub of compote, which we had to make sure was kind of like an odorless, sugarless thing, because again, we didn't want to attract flies and bees. To this day, I still don't know what that mixture is. But he sent photos of like for just like colors, like what color works for you, and then he showed up on the day with it, and I was like, this is great. This looks exactly how I needed it to look. But that was similar to Oliver's birthday. It was one of those things that really was a dance of the camera. And I like that they had some stuff inside the cafe and outside. But I think we shot that over a couple of days. And so it was a lot. There was a lot of continuity, a lot of making sure the berries still looked fresh. Making sure that it wasn't going to rain. Because again, we're in the backyard outside, always a risk. But it was such a lovely, I don't know. When you've got so many huge things that you're dealing with, like as far as, the proposal and the harvest festival and all these stuff, and then you're given this scene that is really kind of like this one and done sort of moment, but is still a crucial part of a character in the show. It's nice to be able to just come to it and be like, like this is a lovely community little thing that I get to do, and it can be so simple and so impactful. I don't know, I love that. So to me, that's what that scene was. There was a lot of moving parts to it, but most of it was story and character driven. I'm not the kind of designer who just like thinks that everything they do makes a big impact. I'm fully aware that this is one of those scenes that still could have been beautiful with like no element of what I did. It could have just been people talking, and we knew that jam making was happening, and we never saw that movie magic, and it was just the story. To me, that's what that scene was. Yeah. I liked seeing Minnie just like really step into her own.
Especially when she got the power of the clipboard in her hand.
Oh, that clipboard. Yeah. That's why it's a little thing. It was really the script and the characters that made that scene. Had nothing to do with the design or the set deck.
All right, so the silent film has tons of very distinct elements. I'm looking at some of those massive pieces that you guys had to find, make, however, whatever. What were some of the biggest challenges for you guys in developing that silent film sequence?
The camera. That was special. It's funny because we had done a movie before with Rosemary, and so everyone thought like, oh, that's the camera. And like here's the place that History for Hire is where they got it. And I was like, okay, well, those cameras are a little old. Like we actually can use this camera and it's a little bit newer. I'm like, okay, cool. And they're like, well, this is down in Hollywood. So like, let's see if we can find it out. I'm like, of course, like we'll do our due diligence. We'll see where else. There's only one other camera, and it was in Ontario, and they hadn't like ever shipped something shipped it before because it would have come from a museum.
Okay.
And we're like, this is a little scary. Whereas this other place was an actual prop house in Hollywood, and they knew how to do it. But of course, so you're risking the border, or you're
Oh yeah.
risking a museum who doesn't, hasn't done it before, and so we ended up going, and they were both similar in price. So money wasn't really the issue there. And so we ended up shipping it, and it got stuck at the border. They held it, and I get a message from Melody. She's like, the worst has happened. I'm like, no. And then so it was a little frustrating because we thought that we had literally done all of our due diligence, and they're like, oh no, you need this person to do this thing. And I was like, this is the first we're hearing about this. So luckily Michael Lean of our office is just a pro at everything, and so he managed to find somebody to do the thing that needed to be done, and it was released, and we got it like the day before. But we were all just shaking because there's so many scheduling alone for this scene, it's a lot. You can't just tell all of these people, like, we're not shooting this today, we're changing, like you can't do that. We had a backup, but the backup would have looked like a backup. So that was very stressful. The lighting was a little bit easier. We were lucky because there's a very likeness to what we have now and what they had then. The wiring is all different. But the fixtures themselves very similar, and
Interesting.
so we knew that it was one of those things where we could have sourced for all of these true vintage that wouldn't actually have worked, and wouldn't have been safe. They all would have had to have been rewired, and it would have been a very large task. Or we could have gone to our vendor who supplies our actual lights for the show, and we sent them images of what we were looking for, and they sent us stuff that they had, and we're like, yeah, that's 99% the same.
Yeah.
And obviously goal is to always have true vintage because that's the story we're telling.
Yeah.
But like anything, this is also a bit of a business, and this was the right choice. We knew that going this route was more than enough to get our job done and to show what we wanted to show on screen. So then, lights were done. We got a bunch of old wires and old road cases, and then made a bunch of screens and scrims, and then rented all of that fun little gack, like the mirror with the lights and
Yes.
and all that. And then it was funny. I was trying to explain to Travis Greens. I was like, okay, we're gonna need a bunch of trees like on our tri stands, and he's like, great. And so he brings them to set, and then he was trying to cover the bases. I'm like, no, we don't want to cover the bases. He's like, but you're gonna see it. I was like, we want to see it. These are props. Like this is a prop. This is set deck. We're gonna have people interacting with them. And it was like, it just was like, why do you want to see them? And it was really funny. And then of course we've then just utilized again what we had around on set. It's stuff that, again, flower baskets and things that background were holding and playing with, and again, you use what you've got.
Yeah.
And that key bit being the camera, and naturally Rosemary's megaphone, because
Absolutely.
that's always the star of the show. I think
That fantastically matched her outfit.
yeah, we painted it. That was
Yeah.
very, yeah. Oh, she looked great. That was such a fun scene to shoot too, because I think all of our actors were just so geared up and so excited that the playfulness on set was so much more than it normally is.
Yeah.
Oh my God, just the whole lighting scene where the
Fernando.
oh my God. And yeah, the traffic light, and then Rosemary just being like, I thought this was supposed to be gone. And you see Hickam running down. Like, when that happened, we were just busting a gut because it wasn't part of the script. And, his actions weren't part of the script. Oh, it was so funny. I really loved that.
Yeah.
But it was one of those, those ones where you source all of the stuff, and then Kristen had her vision, and yeah, Kristen did it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just play on the day, and you see, and she's so good with like, one shots and a dance with the camera. And that was such a theme this year with their camera, which was a really beautiful through line of production. And then to see it in black and white, and like their makeup and everything come to life. It was, I'm a fan of that aesthetic, and I was so proud to see it all come together. It was a fun one.
It's a lot of fun. And it gives I think even from the storyline perspective and even for the cast, those storylines kind of give us an opportunity to see them in a different light
Yeah.
and just, and their range of talent. And I would say everybody's range of talent, cast and crew.
Yeah. And it was a very, like, for us, it was again one of those things where like this has to happen. Like, it isn't necessarily pivotal to our storyline in the sense, but we have just had the heaviest of things happen. We need this. Like, we need this light, physically, this lightness to happen, and the humor behind it. And so I thought it was really, really beautifully written. And of course our nod to Neil in there, naturally gutted all of us. So it was just a really fun, necessary moment. And then from a design perspective, a challenge, but also another fun way of bringing in the modern, and to see Rosemary's passions come alive, because she's always doing for others. So this was a thing for her. And it was very touching to see her shine like that.
Does it, like, you guys put so much into, getting it ready to go in those moments. Is it a situation where like you go back and you watch the dailies and it gives you an opportunity to really see your work come to life? Or are you in the moment and so you see it then? I'm always curious about watching those dailies and what those do for you.
Yeah, I think I will say earlier on in my career, when you like you're less used to knowing the setups and the shots and stuff, so like there's a lot you're learning a lot more. I'm still learning every day I learn something new, but I do use those dailies as a way of seeing what works and what doesn't work. I can fail. Things cannot turn out the way you necessarily wanted them to turn out. And then that moment of, because when you're on set, there's so many other elements kind of in the way. Like, it's great. Like, literally, like the 5 minutes before shooting crew shows up and you get to like see everything in place. Like, oh, look at it. And then literally the director shows up and the TP shows up and then, can we move that over there? And then can we move that? And then everything changes. And then crew comes in, moves everything. And cameras land and lights land and gear land. And your set that you just worked so hard on kind of blows up. And so then it becomes hard to see the final picture until, you're watching the dailies and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, there it is. Like, those details come back to life and the world comes back to life. And, and you take notes and you see what works or what doesn't, or what you could change or what it could become. And, every scenario is different. But yeah, it's really important. It's really important to watch the dailies. I don't know if I got to watch them enough this season. It was a busy season. Yeah. There were days where I was like, I forgot to watch the dailies today. And Anna's like, don't worry, I'm on it. And, Daz is like, I'm on it. And I'm like, okay, please let me know. Just, just summarize this for me. Let me know how it went.
So when you watch them, what are you specifically looking for?
Well, I'm looking for continuity.
Okay.
I'm looking for mistakes. Because that can, or like damage to the set as well, because that's in the row houses, things are always needing to be touched up, and so we're kind of like looking for that. I'm looking for and things that like maybe don't work anymore that, just need a refresh. And then I'm just, I'm looking to make sure that the action worked. And so that's, Melody does the same thing with props, like making sure that that little stunt or that little trick or whatever that worked. And making sure that the colors did in fact work. There's little I can do though. That's the thing. Once it's shot. And I don't think we've ever done something so poorly that we've had to reshoot it. So,
Yeah.
I think we're good there. But yeah, it's really just to see, like, for me, it's also just an opportunity to screen grab and send it to my crew and be like, really good job, you guys. Look at this.
Yeah.
This is what they captured. This is what you've done. See how this thing that you did, or this thing I nagged about that you didn't believe in, see how good it looked. There's that too. So that's a lot of the dailies, is like making sure that because mostly just the HODs will get access, and so being able to send it to Sammy and Greens, who are on set all the time and never have time to look at dailies, construction and paint, just showing them their work and applauding them. That's mostly what I do with dailies.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got this amazing set where McGinty's house burns down. To me, and I may be wrong on this, it felt like there was a lot of different pieces and people that had to come together to create, the house is gone, it's burnt down. But also, was that same area used for when Nathan and Bill and Oliver come in and start doing their inspecting, or was that like different areas?
It essentially, all of the burned land sets were that one big field, which is just off, kind of in between where our oil tower was and the hot spring. So there's like a new field there that we've been using, and we saw Lucas and Edie with the cow. So it's all that field.
Yes.
Yeah. And we saw the McGinty first, and then we knew, I was told that we were going to see, of course, like the land in the, like, where they're investigating. We're going to see the land, and then we're going to see the piece of land, and it's going to develop for, like, because they're going to be planting trees. So I kind of had 3 different zones that I had to do, with one zone actually growing, and so I was like it was a little overwhelming to think about this, just because of also just like the time in between, and the amount of work, and also the season that we were in, because everything is so beautifully green out there, and there's only so much I can do that's not going to also then just ruin nature. I don't want to be going through and taking off limbs and spray painting and throwing ash, even though it's safe ash and you can use water soluble paint, and we're not going on just throwing chemicals, but there's only so much you can do, and so there was always like this like little twinge of like, is it enough? Even though we've been all working our butts off, is it enough? But when I saw McGinty's come together, I shed a tear, because it was, they did such a good job. I gave them lots of reference photos. I made a plan, floor plans, concepts. You do all of that work that you do with every set. But it was set deck, greens, construction, paint, and special effects that came together. Essentially all of my people came together. I mean, and then art, because we made a sign, and obviously props brings their stuff in, but every department had a hand in this. Most I had set deck. It's like, okay, that lockup that has everything in it is so jam packed. Half of it we don't use, and most of it's broken. Find those things and give it to Sammy Special Effects and have him burn the heck out of it.
Nice.
We're getting rid of things, kids. So we did that. We took a bunch of our old furniture, or just stuff that had been broken, and stuff from Marketplace that people were getting rid of, and gave it to him. And we did a lot of a controlled burning from Sammy with furniture as well as trees. So we had Travis Green's source a bunch of trees. And most of them were already dead trees that had come from other productions because everyone uses the same trees.
Yeah.
And so luckily we didn't really kill trees. It was already, we were repurposing trees, and this was the final leg of their life. Had him burn as much as we could. And then it was really cool. Then greens went through, and a lot of these trees were spiked or on stands. And so we kind of created a dead forest because it is a completely clear field. Aside from the perimeter having all of the trees. So every tree you see was something that we planted with a spike or on a stand. Some of them strategically were on stands so that we could move them around. Some of them, we just said, let's build it up here, and then these can be movable. And then also we did the same with bushes and stumps. We had a lot of big stumps and trees that looked like they were broken. So we brought all of that in. And it was such a teamwork. And luckily the McInneses are always doing work on that property. And so there's a lot available to us, which was kind of nice. Yeah. But oh my goodness, watching everybody just at some point just dragging trees behind them. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, it's for the birdland. Because it was something that we had a little bit of time to do. Not a lot of time, but a little more than the usual. And so it was like, okay, when there's downtime, go pick a tree and drag it over. So you just randomly see set deck or greens just dragging trees, and it was pretty funny sight to see. And then anything that we couldn't really burn, then we had Shay and the paint team come in with their sprayers and spray everything to add that kind of deeper layer of black, especially on the on the ground. We took the little woodshed that was there. It used to be Gowan's woodshed at the oil. Yeah. But it's turned around and kind of in the back there. So we used that to suggest it was an outpost. We partially burned that because that was the other thing, is we wanted to show, knowing that there was going to still be green around, we almost wanted this to look like not a controlled fire, but something that burned quickly and spread one way as opposed to spreading that way. Yeah. And so you saw elements of that on the shed. And then I had Travis, and this was Travis's idea, greens. He really just kind of dug up a berm, which was because I saw it and I was like, the grass is still pretty tall and green, and we don't have time to mow it all down and till it, and we don't have that time. And he's like, well, what if I just created a bit of a berm and a wall, yay high, so that it actually just eliminates that eyesight, that plane of view. And I was like, brilliant. And that really did a massive, so kudos to Travis for coming up with that. And then of course, we were always just kind of raking it and making sure new grass wasn't growing. And then on the day, Sammy came in with his bio ash and just put everywhere, and Shay came in and did some last minute. So it was one of those sets that took a long time to develop, but really grew on the day too. When we knew what the shot was going to be, we added to it because you only have so many resources, and so you didn't know. We didn't really. It was just one of those sets that we knew that camera, and we knew that Mike and Andrew were going to come on the day and figure out what they wanted to shoot. And so we saved a lot of that for on the day and placed to camera, when the lower shot with the McGinty sign, that was a shot where they saw it and were let's do this. And so we put it and we did our ash and everything. I know Mike was like, hey, can we let's make it give it kind of a perimeter. It was like, I'll give you a gate. And I'm like, I really would love to give a McGinty's farm sign too. And he's like, oh, great. So he kind of, he had a lot on his mind with the rest of the those scenes. So I kind of had fun with this one and found a lot of references, and kind of just told the crew like, hey, let's see what we can do, and let's see how big we can get this given our constraints and our time. So that's a set that, I mean, it looked cool on the day, but looks great on camera.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Real well. And definitely one of those things where, with the space that we're so familiar with, you guys still find ways to make it look new and like that we haven't seen that before.
Yeah. And then to transform it into the next scene. So then we moved all of McGinty's stuff. We kept a lot of the trees up, but then added twice as much to make it look like now it's kind of like a forest instead of like having someone's house there. So all house stuff was gone, kept all the trees. We knew, and of course, like we went through different directors for each of these scenes. So everyone had a little bit of their own ideas. Peter wanted like a unique piece to like have in the foreground. So everyone had a little bit of an idea. For the investigation, just getting those pieces of concrete and making sure they looked like they were burned. That ash pit was really, really cool. Sammy did a great job just creating that effect. So then we did that scene, and then we had to clear a bunch of stuff out of that. And then we brought in saplings, little seedlings and saplings, so different sizes, to show the progress of the growth. And the scene, where they're Christopher and Gowan are walking through, we just set up a couple of trees, but it looks like they're coming out of this big forest, but it's really just a few trees. And they're just walking through. That was like little movie magic. And then it was just being very careful in which zone. Again, I zoned it. So it's like this zone we're shooting these scenes, and this one so that we can pre-plant this and let it grow a bit. And so nature helped because we just let the grass start to grow, so you could see the little grass coming through. So Mother Nature was on my side for that one for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
Was there a set this season that when you watched it back, you're like, wow, like it looks so real, but we would be surprised at what, maybe it's the camera angles or whatever that you guys kind of like, some of the creative work that went into making it look maybe different than it actually was? I can think of one. Go ahead.
I would say the Hickam apartment is one of them, because that's only like 2.5 walls. It's not a full set. Yet we're creating an entire house. Cafe Tropical. We used camera tricks and set tricks to make it look.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. I worked with Peter on that one. And I said, hey, like, I know you want to extend this room. What if we, created this kind of wall, like, and I was referring to old restaurants, old cafes that had those kind of like enclosed sections with the glass. I'm totally forgetting the word now, but dividers essentially. Yeah. And I said, hey, if we create that, and we can move it in and out, and it'll block the door. So, that's even more, because at some point they're like, oh, it's fine. Like, it is what it is. I was like, nah, let's do this. I'm like, trust me. But Peter is brilliant with his use of space, and his camera tricks. So yeah, that was one where I'm like, it was literally like a wall and a little bit on, our main wall. And, we made it look like it was bigger than it was. So that one was probably the most impact. And I think, and maybe this is more of just a feeling, but like Gowan's house really isn't even a set, because it's like you can't even walk into the door more than a step. But I think we really created like a puzzle piece and like added that piece to his story. Mm-hmm. And that to me was kind of it's a little blip, but it means a lot more. Mm-hmm. And Martin had a lot to say with that too, which was fun. I had the idea of the location. Peter went absolutely, because I thought it would be really interesting to have his place not only facing his orchard, but having the gas station like oil. You can see the big oil sign on one side and then the cafe on the other side. And so
Nice.
there's like kind of like two of his demons bookending
Mhm.
him with
Mm,
his present right in front of him.
love that.
Um, and then uh, and I wanted it to, I didn't want to do much to it. Like people were like, oh, you want to repaint this? I was like, no, 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 no. Make that platform safe and do nothing else. Because he's a man who's given up all luxuries. Um, his old life for this new life that he wants and has created. So there's no frills. The frilliest thing you'll see is his tea set,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is actually his. I think it's his grandma's. He asked if he could bring that. I was like, of course. I'm like, I'm not liable if that breaks. You're in charge of it. He wanted to be apartment zero, and he has his reasons for that. And then I, of course, wanted to add his tools. We grabbed a bunch of pictures that from the first season that Christopher was in town. We took pictures and I framed those. A hook for his hat, like all very simple things. But to me was like the most impactful sets, and it was beautiful. Yeah, I walked him to that set to show him the first time, and yeah, it was his Martin silence that
Yeah.
spoke very loudly. So that was really cool. I was really happy to add that puzzle piece to his story.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's probably yeah.
And you know, who knows with next season and, you know, Lori coming back and maybe we'll need to recreate that again. So,
Yeah. And the thing is it will always be there because it's one of the, it's technically, it's, it's a facade
yeah.
that'll always kind of just be in the background there. Um, which I love. I love that
Hmm.
because that's the
Hmm.
thing is it's, we've never really seen it on camera, that much. And, like past seasons. And so it's really cool to know that that's just always been there,
Yeah. Yeah.
without having seen it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so Nathan is picking asters for Elizabeth. Does that fall under your department? I mean, I guess it is if it's greens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, we picked the location, and knew what the scene needed to look like and the shots, and then I relayed this to Travis, and I was like, I give you creative control. I'm like, as long as we have kind of, I was like, let's section it like 3 sections, because we want to see it from all angles. We don't want to have like a weird isolated patch. That'd be weird. But he's coming from here, so we want something there, and we want something in the foreground, and then this is where he lands. And I said, because we needed to shoot it in 2 different scenes, that location, the part he's picking, and then of course the part where they're all walking through.
Okay, so same place where they're walking. Got it.
Same place. Same place. Um, but there was the trick of, okay, well, we need real flowers because he has to pick something. And like there's nothing worse than seeing someone pick fake flowers. Like,
Yeah.
but there's also the reality of continuity and needing it to look the same every time we come back. So we did have to source a bunch of fake. So most of that is fake because of the continuity that we needed to create on 2 different days shooting the same
Mm.
location.
Hmm.
And then we just put in real ones in the foreground and closer to Nathan, so that it looked real and not cheesy. Had him pick real ones. But yeah, that was greens. They helped to clean it up because there was a ton of prickles in that area. So we kind of survey the area and then get greens to come in and clean it up to make it safe. And then they dress it. And then we shoot it.
Yeah.
So, little, not a lot of planning, but, just enough to make it special.
Yeah. Well, and it was love that we came back to that moment at the
Yeah.
very end. So it
Yeah.
was a nice touch.
Yeah. It was good. Yeah. It looked great.
One of your other big things at the end of the season is the Harvest Festival, which had a lot going on, especially when we see the camera movement. Once again, we start picking up on all of these intricate pieces to
Yeah.
making this happen. So, in a moment like that, and you're working with a script and you're working with the director, like how much are they telling you what to include in that? And then you're just dreaming beyond that. Because
Yeah.
it was beautiful, elaborate, brings the community back together,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a nice bow on the end of the season.
Yeah. I really wanted to make this as full as possible simply because it's the finale, you know, like not that you give less attention to something that's mid-season, but this is meant to be the cap. And there's also knowing that we were going to see some of it from up top too, right? So you want to have the continued impact. So we talked to Kristen and Andrew together because we again were shooting outside in fall. And so I said, so let me guess, we're going to need the obvious, and that's tents. And they're like, yeah, what can you give us? Let's try and cover as much as possible. I went, okay. So me and Nat, he's got one of those cool little machines where you walk the perimeter and it measures it for you. And so we mapped out our usable zone because that area, we also played with the idea of having it on the entire grassy section or in front of the schoolhouse. And I was like, there's less of a risk of flooding in front of the schoolhouse because it's marshy there. And so right away, they're like, okay, yeah, in front of the schoolhouse. I'm like, plus it, because we have the scene with the, just with people like arriving at the time, the buckboards and stuff leaving, the Buxton people were going to be there. And then we decided to do
Mm,
it on the other road. But I'm like,
got it.
there's the road access. It's easier for lights to become, you know, it's just an easier location. So we landed on that. I measured it and then basically zoned it. Like, okay, this area can be our main like food area and dining, like, and then we need a cider area. Like, so I took the script and I kind of took our scenes and knew that we wanted to be able to have different setups so that it wasn't just shooting the same thing. So I was like, I landed on needing 3 main areas, then with a general space in between. So and Kristen's great for this because she's like, what do you think? I mean, they all are, but I was able to kind of give her what I thought it needed. Also, just knowing how many. I'm like, it's not the first time I've done this. So I think this is what we need. I think this is how big we can do the tents. And then it's the fall color. So like, here's a beautiful palette that it might be kind of obvious of a palette,
Yeah.
but here it is.
Yeah.
And then we'll do the rest. And I think we might have gone a little bit bigger on the tents. Because Andrew really wanted tent. So I think I expanded a couple of tents a little bit. I had the tents a lot higher. He's like, they don't need to be that high. So then we lowered it a little bit. But basically, once that was approved, it was kind of like, here's what we need. Okay, here's what we can do. Few changes. Let's go. Because we did not have that much time. And I drafted all of those tents, took them to construction, and I said, okay, so here's kind of what we need. I'm trying to do this with as little posting in between because posts are blocks visually. But we want it to stay up. We're going to, put swag and everything on it. So you come back to me because I'm not a builder. I can draft and I can draw, but like you tell me if there needs to be an extra support up there, and so he's really great at just being like, oh yeah, just put one more beam up there, you're good. So I did that. Came up with a draft, came up with a 3D rendering so that everyone could see visually what it was going to look like, because really what we had to plan for was weather, and they needed to be able to kind of shot list this and plan for lights and everything. Plus, that was another reason we did it in that location, is so that we could get our lift and our fly swatter in for overhead coverage. And then I just like, I really like to take a snapshot of basically our frame and paint in all of the elements. Like I really like doing full on creations so that there's no surprises.
Yeah.
Like Hallmark gets it. Everybody gets really the final look before it's even brought to life. And then of course set deck comes in and even fills those gaps even further, and they're brilliant. Um, and we were so lucky that it didn't rain, but we got hit with wind. They got the tents up, and basically the canvas and the tarping got blown off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they had to redo it, which was a bit of a setback for set deck. But that was the other thing is, you know, we obviously wanted to canvas tarp the top, but then we had to make sure it was waterproof because even if it's raining, it's going to drip through. And so we came up, we tried to weatherproof it a bit. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we were just going to tarp the top if we needed it to be tarped on the day. And then I just said, I want lots of beautiful flowing fabric. Buy as many fresh, sorry, my cat just threw a toy at me. That was funny. As many corns on the cob and gourds as possible, just to bring that life, as many apples as you can, because it really is about, you know, plentiful and sharing what you've got. And that's the core of like the Harvest Festival. And I really just wanted it to look like a country hometown affair. And then Props found the cool cider press, which was like an awesome find. That was
I
really,
was going to ask about that.
really fun to bring in. I didn't expect it to be that big. I don't know why I thought it was just going to be a tabletop thing. But this was like a legitimate real thing. And then I designed the spit. And so we've actually built and Sammy fabricated a spit because we wanted to have kind of levels of food, and we wanted to be able to serve the food, and then just have like so many different angles. Like I wanted every time the camera moved for it to be full. Like I didn't want any, you know, and so we even dressed tables in the background and dressed wagons in the background. I just really wanted it to look like everybody from every corner of the town brought their buckboard in full of their stuff, whatever they could bring, to share it within the community, and also just to give to the people of Buxton, you know, and give them that proper send off, that proper Hope Valley send off. And then our art department did such a great job on the 3D model. That was a lot. That was a lot of work. I had the brilliant idea of thinking we were going to 3D map it or 3D print it. And then that just proved to be kind of too much. And then Desiree was like, I got a better idea. And we pulled out all of our little Cricut machines, and we just printed and printed, and she folded, and that was her baby. That was her baby this year. And that turned out like just so great. So great. And we still have it. It's in the lockup. So it was, I was really proud of how that came together, because there was a lot of challenges that were completely unavoidable, and the timing and the amount of days that we shot that, we had to keep up with continuity. And so it was a really big task. And then just obviously completing that build, construction had so much to do. Those are just totally from the ground up built. Every piece of wood was cut and put together. None of that was a purchase. It was all raw lumber and canvas, while also doing the water tower at the same time.
Water tower at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just a like time crunch.
Yeah.
And so when it all came together, I was just so happy with it. Yeah.
So you put together an end of season portfolio of your work. Which set designs, which things are definitely going to be included in your portfolio?
The Harvest Festival for sure. The boarding house. And I think the Hickam apartment. 3 very different sets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so we know season 14 is happening. which is exciting. I know. Yeah. It's just what a gift. Not to give anything away. Have you heard anything about season 14 and anything that excites you creatively?
Literally not a thing. I know the writers are writing right now. I
Yeah.
know everyone's been really busy with 1874.
Yeah.
Eh, I'm going to assume there's a wedding. I'm assuming
I
with
mean, Joy did drop with me about spring, and we know spring is happening. So in
yeah.
my mind, it's happening. And I think a lot of people kind of picked up on that hint.
Yeah, I think, yeah, and like, but I think for me, just assuming the wedding's gonna happen, really excited about that. And then just I'm really excited to see how Abigail comes back and like what
Yeah.
role she takes on. Um, not that she's been replaced by anybody, but like, yeah,
She's
what
not going back to the cafe,
yeah, I know. We saw it's now
right?
minis, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm really interested in that. Um, and how then Gowan, how that works out with them.
Hmm. Hmm.
If Christopher comes back then too. Yeah. So I think no, I don't know any of those details. I'm most excited for that though.
Yeah.
Most excited for that. Yeah,
For
hopefully.
Lori coming back.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I yeah, when we got that, we're like, no, stop fooling with us. Like no one could believe that it was actually true. Until then we saw um the outline of it. We got the
Yeah.
outline. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is
Yeah.
awesome. And then
Yeah.
just knowing that we were gonna get to shoot with her this year was just like, yay.
Yeah.
Um I mean, I was surprised they announced it. We were all surprised that it got announced before. I thought it was just going to be a reveal at the very end. Um, so what, I mean, I was happy that it got announced because then I was like, I don't have to keep it a secret. I
Yes.
will always keep these secrets. I will, but it's burning me up inside.
Yes.
Um, I'm lock-lipped, but like, yeah, it was when they announced it, we're all of us texting like, "Oh my gosh, they announced it!"
It's
Like we
out.
can, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
this is real. Like it's happening. Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, and then I talked to Martin. Martin's like, "Yeah, great, great,
Yes.
great, great. Yeah, okay, great."
Well, and it was great that even, her showing up, which I think everybody kind of wondered since they've made the announcement and, the Wind Calls the Heart, several of them are going to be in Kansas City. What if Lori showed up, And Kevin at one point had said, and there's going to be a surprise. And he didn't give anything away. He just said, there's going to be a surprise. And so we're all going, we think we know. And so to bring her out on the stage and have that moment with them, but then also even get her to hear her talk about, I think somebody asked a question about Abigail and Henry, and she was like, hey, I'm all for it. Bring it. So it built some other new good excitement after we already knew that she was coming back. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good.
It's just going to be so fun to see those character dynamics rekindled, and Lord knows I hope it gives Erin a bit of a break. She's gonna,
Yeah.
being a new mom,
Yes.
like her and Laurie can just share the screen time. That'll give her a little bit. That's just the new mom in me.
Yes.
Just be like, oh my goodness, she's coming back with a newborn. Bless her soul. I remember
Yeah.
how that felt, and I wasn't on screen.
Yeah.
So, oh my goodness, so many babies. I'm so
You're
happy.
gonna have to design a daycare on set.
We literally were talking about, I was talking about that with Andrea a while ago because I think she was having her third. I was just like, between like me, you, and then like, Petra, Andrea, another Andrea, and Jake, like all of us having babies. And then of course now there's more. We're like actually though we need a daycare, but this also brings in a huge discussion that is a serious discussion about childcare in the film industry and
Yeah.
how badly it's needed because Lord knows if it weren't for this show and the ability to have a team who's so on my side to support
Mm-hmm.
me, I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do what I do and be
Yes.
a mother at the same time.
Yeah.
And now be a single mother. So it's it's actually a really important discussion to be had. And it's a fight that we've been fighting and losing. So, but I mean, When Calls the Heart is a very accommodating place.
Well, they even shifted the filming back a little bit for this reason coming up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
So
fantastic.
yeah, I think we go to camera in August. I'm not really
Yeah,
sure.
that's what we've heard.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So, which I'm like, yes, great. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Please give these new parents their time to be parents, because we also really want to work at the same time. Yeah, but bigger discussion.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to call me about this, I can rant forever.
Well, so much. Thank you so much for. I always get so pumped up and excited. I know we've only done this twice, but you've written an article for me too, and you're just so free and willing just to let us know it all, which for us is so rich and just brings these stories. I mean, they're already so alive, but you just bring a whole nother level to it when you take us behind the scenes, and just really helps us, I think, even to more appreciate the work that everybody puts in to bring us this series. And so thank you for talking to me. This has been fantastic.
This is my absolute pleasure. It blows my mind that people want to hear me talk. But I'm so grateful. I mean, you're the ones who support us, and so anything I can do to just bring you more into this wonderful world is my absolute pleasure. And I'm so grateful for you guys. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, everybody that's watching or listening, there's still more When Calls the Heart to come. We've got some more good behind the scenes, costume designer coming, production manager coming in the next week or so. So always love to get that behind the scenes perspective. Sarah, thank you so much for talking to me, and all the best to you. And I'm already excited for you for season 14. So can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you've made it to the end of this interview, just want to remind you that this is only one half of my chat with Sarah. So whatever podcast platform you are listening or watching, be sure to go find that other part to my chat with Sarah. You're going to love it.